terrible questions on this one, all
You know
right?
you want to do it now, don't you?
Recording in progress.
269.
Okay, the meeting will now come to order. We'll begin with introduction of members and seating of alternates, and we'll begin with town staff.
Dan Beret, Town Planner.
Okay, and commission members, we'll begin with introductions starting on my left.
Tom Bransfield.
Bob Ellsworth.
Jen Talone?
Robert Taylor. Joe Spada.
Okay, Tom, would you be seated for Chantel? please?
Sure.
And let's see, that gives us.
Joe for
So,
Victoria.
Joe, would you be seated for Victoria, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you both. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Okay, the agenda is accepted as presented. Next item is meeting procedures. I would anticipate a fairly normal meeting tonight, so really nothing to go over there. So we'll move on to our public hearing. The first is application 23-12, 220 Isinglass Hill, special permit for an 8-bedroom residential care home. And we do have a motion before us to continue the application to our future meeting. So I will read that motion. Motion to continue application 23-12, 220 Isinglass Hill Road. Request for special permit for construction of an 8-bedroom residential care home. Application of Orable Place LLC and property of Sean McGrail, Revocable Trust. Map 129, Lot 9, Zone RR. May I have a second to the motion, please?
Seconded.
Okay, we will now vote, and we'll begin with Tom,
Approved.
Jen,
Approved.
Rob,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Any opposed? There would be none. Okay, the motion is approved to continue the meeting. Continue here, the public hearing. Okay, then, next on the agenda is application 23-17. This is a public hearing for 69 Marlborough Street, special permit modification. This has not yet been opened, so we will not be hearing this application tonight. Anything, Dan, to mention about this?
No, they just asked for an extension to the July 12th meeting.
Okay, July 12th, okay. So we'll move on then to application 23-18. Proposed amendment.
I'm sorry, Bob, it was the
Yeah.
July 11th meeting.
Okay.
I keep getting that wrong.
July 11th, thank you. Okay, application 23-18, proposed amendment to the Portland zoning regulations. Add to use table in section 5.1, offices, quote, offices, sale, service, and delivery of heating fuel products, end quote, to B1 zone as a special permit. Application of TCBS Properties LLC. May I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, the public hearing for application 23-18 is open. Would someone like to speak on behalf of this application?
Ben Serb, 139 West Cotton Hill Road, speaking on behalf of TCBS, 1600 Portland Cobalt Road. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's allowed now in the B2 and I believe 2 out of the 3 industrials. It's not allowed in restricted industrial. I think it's a perfect neighborhood for it. Where I'm referring to is up by, everybody knows Axelrod, Morin Diesel, the gas station, and then I'm directly across from that gas station. And I believe there's one other property in that zone. So that's the area we're talking about. I just want to add an appropriate use up there. I've got some people that have shown interest, and I think it would work. Looking for questions out of you guys.
Says home heating and delivery of fuel, so that'll be the office and the trucks
Yes, sir.
would be parked there?
Yeah, and then there's a caveat that Dan and I went over ahead of time, that if you go on your table, it says there's no storage, so, in other words, I don't know if you guys remember, years ago, there was.
Well, there'll be residual oil in the
Yeah,
truck.
that's not storage. Truck
Yeah.
is considered different. What Daniels.
There'll be no
I believe-
tanks.
Yeah, Daniels wanted to
Right.
put a big facility in, and it caused a lot of controversy in the town. So currently, there's no storage allowed, I believe, in any of the zones.
Right.
So obviously, I'm not trying to change that. That's where the town has gone at this point. Maybe someday some people will want to change that, but I don't. The use we're looking for, Dan Ray shakes his head. The use we're looking for would be at like a mom and pop, little guy, truck, HVAC guys.
Okay. Any additional questions?
Pretty straightforward.
I was gonna say, what's it next? Every application was like
Yeah.
this?
Mark this down, Ben.
And the other thing I'll point out is, after speaking with Dan Beret, we both, unless you guys want to change this, we left it as special permit, so when I do come in with a tenant, you're gonna still have a multitude of range on restrictions you could do. But the I zone doesn't have that, so if you guys didn't want to put that out, yeah, I wouldn't mind, but we left it on there so you have some discretion.
I think it should be a special permit, because you had more discretion in terms of screening and stuff like that in the B1, where it may not be it's not as necessary in the I.
I agree.
I more or less just wanted to explain the difference, that it's still gonna be site plan, you guys have, or special permits, sorry, not special permits, so you guys still have teeth.
So I don't have my zoning map memorized, but what other parts of town would this be impacting?
So Bob, nowhere else, it's 5 properties, it's St. Clemens, Axelrod, the gas station, and Warren Diesel and myself are the only, I think we should eventually maybe get rid of the B3, but whatever, we have, or sorry, the B1,
B1,
I was
yeah.
mixed those up.
That's all that's
Yes,
B1?
yes, I just pulled out Dan's map and there's 5. So, most of 66 is either B2 or a little bit of IP, but to give you an idea, the overwhelming majority is B2, which this is allowed in.
Right.
And there is a small portion by Valley Construction and Dunkin' Donuts, the one up that way, of IP. Everything else along 66 corridor is B2, and then we have very little B1. I have no idea why we're on an island out there, but we became Automotive Alley. That's what it's
Yeah,
become, and I'm okay with that. That's what I'm building up. So, whatever. If you want to leave this alone, fine too. I'll just have to add uses here and there that are appropriate.
So Dan, it's more of a question of overarching question. Because it is such a limited area, the B1, what are the real differences between the B1 and B2 that
It's
justifies that separation?
different uses.
That's it?
That's the short of it, yeah.
And in fairness, a lot of the same uses are there in both those zones, and including the IP, because the IP runs along 66. Like this is allowed in the IP, it's allowed in the B2. So basically, the only thing on 66 that's currently not allowed is R5 properties. Just to give you an idea, so to your point, how did this come? I have no idea. Great question.
It
Yeah, I
seems
guess
it seems like B1 is more restrictive, to be honest.
I mean, not for today's application, it's certainly something we look at down the road of being why don't we just extend B2 into the B1 and just eliminate B1?
I mean, I'm open to whatever. I don't know what the genesis was between, them doing a B1 and a B2 zone.
Because, I mean, it doesn't make sense for you to come every single time you have an interested business just to take the text amendment, which, we have 5 properties there. It just,
So another thing that I would add, and I think it's going to your point, is a lot of these uses are interchangeable now. Just make them all special permit. I could care less. If it's appropriate, you're going to get it approved. That's my theory. If I come in front of you, so if you're even questioning, well, maybe fine, make it special permit. You guys have a lot of teeth with that. If you don't like it, you literally can say no. So I personally don't see the harm, but whatever. For tonight, I got to add the use. I got a guy interested.
You're not gonna get a bowling alley, you're not gonna get a bed and breakfast.
I have no idea.
No room for a cemetery.
We certainly can look at that, while we're talking about the other business and industrial zoning in town moving
yeah.
forward.
I mean, honestly, it would just might be a quick memo of just, of like, what are the differences in like
It's-
what's permitted?
It's pretty much the uses.
Huh?
It's pretty much the uses.
I know, but what uses are permitted in the B1 that aren't permitted in B2 or
Oh,
vice versa?
I mean, the easiest way to see it is just look at the table.
Yeah.
I know.
There is about 7 or 8.
Looks like B1 is more restrictive than
B1 's
B2.
so-
Yes,
like-
there's 7 or 8 in the B.
And there's 6 or 8
one
items.
that aren't allowed, but somehow we've become
Why, I
automatically, which
couldn't tell you.
I'm okay with, because if you look
understand
at our
package
neighborhood,
stores.
it's appropriate. If
But
there was a
that's-
spot in
that's
town for us to pick
controlled by
these
something else.
businesses, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Why
So,
laundry?
and that's
Why a laundromat?
we
I have
tried to
no
develop it
idea.
that way, so I.
Why a civic
Once
organ,
again, if you pick uses that-
Elks wanted to
I don't
buy
mind,
axle
especially
rods?
if they
I don't know.
work. Once again, Protections in for the town, like a special permit, and I've got a.
Yeah,
feeling it's a good
we can
idea.
look into it. I'm certainly open to looking into that.
Yeah.
Any idea,
But
any idea how long B1 has been around?
As long as I've been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been around a while. I want to say it started something with St. Clements. I could be completely wrong in that. The majority of the property.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
zone
not
is St.
sure.
Clements, yeah. So maybe at some point somebody wanted to overwhelmingly protect St. Clements, I'm thinking. But then you have the other 4 of us, because there's only 5. The other 4 of us are complete automotive. I don't know.
And that's always been allowed, so, yeah, maybe I could go back and look at minutes. That's the only thing I could think of at this point, in terms of finding out what their initial thought was behind that.
Right.
And the other thing also is that it's, I mean, just the color scheme makes it really difficult to tell the difference between a B1 and the restricted industrial.
Yeah, I've been told that.
And so, I mean, you know, maybe if I don't think we need text amendment change to change the zoning map colors, but if we're gonna go look through and have that discussion anyways, you know, we might as well just lump in eliminating the B1 district and,
Also.
you know, if it doesn't like cut or curtail any rights, it only adds in, you know, more
Yeah,
uses for
yeah,
those
certainly.
properties.
I wouldn't want to make everything special permit, because that just, if it's a non-controversial use,
Yeah.
site plan approval is
Mhm.
easiest for the applicant, and it gives them the most assurance that they're going to get approved. If you meet the regs with the site plan application, you should give an approval or receive an approval, whereas a special permit, you have, as you know, much more legislative latitude in terms of setting conditions and so forth. So certainly, yeah, this is something, you know, we can start looking into along with the rest of the business industrial zoning in town.
And I guess if you were gonna add uses, you would probably just look whether they're special permit now. So, yeah. there's
Yeah, we
probably-
could go through and yeah, at that
And maybe
point.
there's one you do wanna change that isn't special or not, you know, flip it
Yep,
and say
yep.
there's no controversy, or
Yep.
there is, or whatever, but. Back to me tonight.
Yep. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none then, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for application 23-18?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, public hearing for 23-18 is now closed. Any further discussion? Okay. And do we have a motion, Dan, for 23-18? Would you like to do the honors?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Can I just read the whole thing?
Yes. Yep. Starting with motion.
Motion to approve application number 23-18, proposed amendment to the Portland zoning regulations. Add to use table in section 5.1 offices, sale, service, and delivery of heating fuel products to B1 zone as a special permit. Application of TCBS Properties LLC, application of the TCBS Properties with changes and/or clarifications to the proposed text amendment as follows. Read that whole thing too?
No, because it's
No,
just the
it's the
table,
table.
yeah, it's just the
It's just the
table adding
table.
in the special permit.
Okay, and there's no
And there's
reason, there is no
No.
reason. Okay, may I have a second to the motion, please?
Seconded.
So,
Okay, we'll now vote, starting with Tom,
aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Any opposed? There would be none. So the application is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, then, we'll move on then to our next application, which is 23-19. This is a special permit for a special event to hold the Portland Fair application of Portland Fair and property of Cody Range LLC and Portland Farmers Fish and Game Club, map 75, lot 2, map 68, lot 1, zone FP. So this, we are still waiting for some reports, from what I understand.
Yeah, mainly at this point, it's just the review by the fire marshals of the safety plan and the EMD, emergency management director. So I talked with Kim from the fair, and we decided it would just make more sense to present all that at once at the July 11th meeting.
Okay.
11th or 12th?
11th. Sorry, yes, 11th. I got it right this time.
Sign that too, 'cause you made it.
Well, 11th was, okay. Same as Brainerd Place?
No, that we'll do that either the 9th or the 10th. So it'll
Okay.
be,
Okay.
we'll do it different.
Okay, then we'll move on to our regular meeting, and first item there is to receive in an application. Application 23-20, proposed amendment to the Portland zoning regulations, add, quote, healthcare institution, end quote, to section 9.17.2.b of list of allowable uses. Add footnote to 9.17.2.b that states, quote, for purposes of this section 9.17, commercial use means any use set forth in this section 9.17.2b as being recognized and permitted in a MUD other than residential units. And 2, residential units shall exclude any beds or units within a healthcare institution, end quote. Add text to the section 9.17.5.f, quote, notwithstanding section 5.2.b, no single commercial establishment within the MUD other than healthcare institution shall exceed 65,000 square feet in gross floor area, and no healthcare institution within the MUD shall exceed 130,000 square feet in gross floor area, and no MUD shall contain more than one establishment of maximum size, with all other establishments not to exceed 40,000 square feet in gross floor area, end quote. Application of BRT DeMarco, PTP LLC.
So,
So that certainly is a mouthful.
yep, so my thought on this, with the other applications we've had, that could potentially affect, the Brainerd Place site, and that MUD, I think it's prudent to have a special meeting at the high school to make sure that we can accommodate all those people. The 2 dates that I've secured right now are July 9th and July 10th. So I didn't know if the board wanted to choose between one of those 2 dates and set a special meeting for a public hearing on this application.
So we have a meeting scheduled for the 11th, as we've discussed.
Yep.
If we're going to do one of those 2, my preference would be the 10th.
I'm not available, so.
Okay. Any preference? Any objection to a special meeting?
I think I'm available. I don't have anything on my calendar, so no. I have to make it work, but it should be good.
Should be all right.
Yeah,
So that means the 10th and the 11th, so we'll have a meeting the 11th and the 10th?
That's correct.
This is swell.
I hope we can get through this and then not have to have special meetings shortly as well. Yeah, it's not ideal, but I think it's necessary to have a separate meeting, just in case the interest has been as high as in the past.
Are we gonna do the same thing we did with the 6 PM start?
If you would like, absolutely.
Because we still have the same restriction to,
School is not in session, so I'm not sure if that restriction would still be there, but certainly if you'd like to start earlier, we could leave earlier, if that's convenient for you.
would be my vote.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this one's gonna be as controversial as, the last ones, but I'd rather just start earlier and give people an opportunity to speak.
Sure. So 6 PM, if that's what you'd like, on the 10th, that's when we can set it for. Does that sound good, Bob?
The 10th, 6 PM. Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, then we'll move on to new business. I see none. Old business is our good old standby business and industrial zoning, and I think we added a topic tonight that we can probably discuss when we get a chance to discuss this. Not get around to it, but catch our breath so we can discuss this. We'll move on to staff report. Any correspondence?
There is not,
Any Brainerd Place update?
other than the new text amendment. I believe the Board of Selectmen and the developer came to, not that it has much to do with us, but came to a new abatement agreement on taxes. So that's what's cooking right now, and then we'll see what happens with this pending application.
Could, I was looking at the mud regulations, and I believe there's architectural requirements they have to meet. Do we have architecturals for Brainerd Place? I've got site plans, site maps, I don't have anything.
I believe with the original submittal, yeah.
Is it possible to get copies of those
Sure.
to us? So when we get comments on where a brownstone should or shouldn't be, or trim, or
Yep.
fencing, or whatever.
Yep.
Thanks.
So, I don't know if you guys could hear Tom, but he's asking for architectural documents from the Brainerd Place application, because we've gotten comments about, where's the brownstone that belongs on this building, and so on and so forth, so I think he wants to, I think that's your intent, would be to review
Yeah,
those.
for everyone to
and,
get a copy,
So we can respond.
so
Thank you.
we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and my intention is to have a meeting with Terry about this as well, so
Okay.
that's all pending.
Yep.
Okay, the only other thing under staff report that I just wanted to bring up was vacations. August 15th, we have a meeting scheduled. Dan is not available, I'm not available, and Tom, you said you're not
That
available.
won't be available.
So,
15th or 17th?
15th.
15th.
I got that wrong again, I'm sorry.
Won't be available.
so no action needed at this point, but just a heads up that something may be happening depending on what the business is for that meeting.
Well,
It's certainly
I'm all for
possible.
Canceling the meeting.
We
I'm
could,
sorry?
I'm all for canceling the meeting.
we could cancel a meeting in August if that,
We have 2 in July.
we do, well, we could have another series of special meetings as well. So, if you want to wait until the July meeting, we can certainly entertain that.
Why don't we see what's on the books?
Sure.
Okay. Anybody else on vacation around middle of August? Joe? Yes?
First 2 weeks of August.
First 2 weeks
I'm
of
coming
August.
back on the 15th.
So would you be available, or that's a no? Okay. So Joe, we'll add Joe to the list.
Okay.
So have fun. Okay. So we'll move on then to public comment. Any member of the public would like to make a brief comment?
I can say it here. I just,
Yeah,
when would I have to
they can't hear you on the,
This is my opinion.
they can't hear you.
I guess it's right to you, Dan. When would I have to file for that tenant? When would this go into effect? Got voted on tonight, is my first question.
So I'm remiss, we did not vote on an effective date.
If you don't vote, I believe it's just.
It goes into effect immediately, yeah,
I
so.
think we all,
So, yeah, you could file after the appeal period.
15 days, okay,
So 15 days after Friday.
Will that get me on July, or is that gonna be on August that might not exist? I'm just trying to, I'll do whatever on my end to get in quicker.
We can receive you in July. I don't think that's an issue, because I think it's the 27th, so that would be 15 days. That'd be 16 days.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all, I just don't
Okay.
wanna miss it for the tenant.
I don't think this is gonna get appealed, so I'm not terribly concerned.
Fairly confident there,
Yeah.
and I don't wanna mess the tenant up, so if I can.
Yeah, you can get a receipt, yeah. We can, yeah.
I'll meet with you. Thank you.
We do have an August 1 meeting scheduled.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Any other members of the public? Okay, seeing none.
All you have is the 5:23 minutes. Dawn did send me the 5:29. I just forgot to print, I forgot to send those to you, and she's working on the 6:06 minutes as well.
They're a good read.
Yeah, they're.
Yes, she's been working very
Nice
hard,
work.
so
Yes.
thank you, Dawn.
Ooh,
Yes.
that was a lot. Thank you.
So the 5:23 minutes, they're the longest novel she's written so far, I believe.
Bestseller.
So present at that meeting were myself, Rob, Victoria, Carolyn, Jen, Chantel, Tom. So we were all here, so we would not have seated any alternates. So tonight we are missing Victoria and Chantel, so we still do have a quorum. Okay? So then may I have a motion to approve the minutes of May 23rd?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the minutes from May 23rd are approved. And we'll look forward to the other minutes in a future meeting. So may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the meeting is adjourned.